From the entertainment capital of the world, it's Brighton Your Night with Barbara Brighton. Tonight's guest star, Kathi and Alan Glist. Here's Barbara.
Hi, everybody. It's Barbara with Brighton Your Night. I'm so glad you could join us for my new show today. And with us are my wonderful friends, Alan and Kathi Glist, producers of the Bronx Wanderers and Menopause, the musical. And I am thrilled to have them, and we're going to talk about our personal lives as well as professional lives and find out what's going on with these two hits, one of the longest running shows on the Strip. This is Alan and Kathi. Hi, guys.
Barbara.
How are you?
Thanks for having us,
Thank
and
you.
congratulations. We're excited.
Thank you. I'm happy for you, too. Happy to have you guys.
Thank you.
So tell me, besides everything else, they are two of the nicest people in Vegas. They're very happily married, and they love their family so much. And they're from Florida, like me. So we have a lot to talk about, right?
We do.
So tell me about your show, Menopause. How long is that running now?
On our 15th year in Las Vegas.
Oh, my God. Did she say 15?
15 years. And it is the longest running musical on the Las Vegas
God,
Strip.
Kathi. Tell me, I know it's a story how you came to get Menopause, because I think Alan didn't want it, right?
Exactly.
See?
I thought it was a ridiculous name for a show. Show you what I know.
Right. Now you're kissing her feet. So where did you first see it, Kath?
I saw it in Palm Beach, Florida. Very small theater, very modestly done, about 18 years ago. And I knew right away that it was something very unique, very special, and more than being a producer, as a woman, I felt it was a story that needed to be told.
Menopause.
The story of not necessarily menopause, but actually more like what women at that passage in their life go through. I just felt that, women need this. Women need to feel great about this juncture in their life. They need to laugh about it. They need to feel better about themselves. And this phenomenon, this musical comedy, women leave the theater feeling not just entertained, but I think empowered.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've seen it dozens of times. Was the same music and the same parodies in it originally?
At the very first production, there were a couple of different songs. It's evolved a little bit over the years. We sort of bring it a little bit more up to date, but it's basically the same show that's just been wowing audiences for now 18 years worldwide.
And it's all over the country, right?
It's all over the country and all over the world.
It's in 13 countries now, been translated in 7 languages.
Aren't you kicking yourself, Alan?
Yes. Listen, it just goes to show you, I listen to her.
You can hold that over him now, right? No,
Don't worry,
right?
I do.
Menopause, so you understand women a little more now,
I
right?
do. We had a friend of ours that came in New Jersey about 10, 12 years ago to see the show, and he had just recently gotten divorced. He said, if I had seen this a year earlier, I wouldn't have been divorced. I would have understood what my wife was going
Well,
through.
that's quite interesting. At some point, one time when I was in Los Angeles, I wasn't on any of the pills that we usually take for menopause, and I put my hand through the bathroom cabinet. I was so angry. I don't know why. I don't know why. I broke the cabinet. I got a brand new medicine cabinet from my landlord. Well, that's what happens, right? Women go through highs and lows, and I don't remember getting the flashes or things like that. My mother, I think she did. But I didn't. I was very young when I started. I was through in 4 years. I didn't have a lot of problems with the menopause, except that one day that I got so mad.
Oh, no.
I remembered it. Yeah.
Well, just think if
Did you ever do
Menopause the musical was around then, you could have avoided that. I mean, they say laughter is the best medicine.
Right.
And I think that's what this show is for so many people, because it's funny. It's funny. You're looking at yourself. One of my favorite lines is, my hourglass shape becomes a glass of water. And what woman can't relate to that?
Oh, hysterical.
And it's so empowering for women. The thing that I love is at the end of the show, there's this coming out party sort of, and women just feel totally empowered. They feel that they're not the only ones going through this. Right. They see a couple hundred other women in the theater going through it with them and so on. They're able to laugh about it and understand that they're not alone.
But also the men, Alan, they love this.
Men love it.
I brought men there many times, and it's just they were afraid to come to the beginning, and they loved the whole thing from beginning to end.
I love to be there at the beginning when men are walking in, and very often, particularly here in Las Vegas, they'll say to me, "What am I doing here?" I mean, she dragged me along and so on. Those are the guys, the grumpy guys walking in that are the first ones to leap to their feet at the end.
Yeah.
They have the best time. They always come
Right,
out and say to me,
right.
"Oh my gosh, you were right. The show was fabulous. I had the best time."
Yeah, and it's so well cast. I remember I auditioned for it, and the day that I auditioned, because I wanted to be part of this show so badly, I couldn't hear in one ear. And I told you that. I said, "God, what are you doing to me? I can't hear the music. I have one ear plugged up. This is my favorite show. What are you doing?" And as a result, I didn't get the show. So anyway, you have one line that I love in that show.
Which one?
Made it.
Right.
Where they all
Running to the bathroom. You're right.
I
Yes.
totally relate to that. And every time I get into my apartment, I think, made it. It is so funny.
It
Tell me about
is.
your cast, because you've had them like forever and a day.
A couple of girls have been with us for 14
Right.
years.
I can't
they
believe
started
it.
at the Las Vegas Hilton, and
Is that where you
Cindy
started?
Williams
That's
joined
the
the
first
show
one?
about a
Yeah.
year ago from Laverne and Shirley.
Tell me why Cindy came.
Cindy saw the show at Luxor 5 years ago, absolutely was blown away, loved it, and she said, "If there's ever a role for me, or if there's ever a spot for me,
Yeah.
I'd love to be in your show."
Yeah.
So we called Cindy a couple of years ago, and we said, "How would you like to play yourself?" And it's the only place in the world that we use a fifth girlfriend, a fifth cast member, and Cindy basically plays herself. She has various walk-on roles. She's hysterical, the audiences love her, and it just works.
She's one of the dearest people
Yeah,
you'll ever,
yeah.
you know. She's
know.
all heart, and she gets up close and personal with the audience, and
Right. And they
she's
love
so
her.
gracious.
They
They
love
love her. They
Yeah.
love her.
But we have Jacqueline Holland Wright, who's our soap star. She started in Mamma Mia for 6 years.
Here in Vegas?
Yes. Vita Karimbi Drew is our Earth Mother. She's been with us since the very
Vita's
beginning.
incredible.
Isn't she
Charity
great?
Harches plays all 4 roles. She's our understudy that plays all 4 roles. Lisa Max, our professional woman. She was with us in Baltimore for a couple of years. And she said, "If you ever have an opening for me in Las Vegas, I'd love to move to Las Vegas." And 10 years ago, we actually had an opening. She moved out here. She's been with us ever since. And our newest member is Judy Lombino, who is our Iowa housewife, who is fabulous. She joined us a few months
I
ago.
want to do that part. I like that part.
You
It's a
need
great
to have a
role.
walk-on.
A
Yeah.
walk-on.
Let's do a walk-on.
We do a walk-on.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well, I hope I can walk. I mean, because they're all choreographed in that show.
Yes.
Well, you know how I love that show.
I know.
Call me. Menopause, the musical. I'm dying to be a part of it. I wish I had it, because that would make me 20 years younger. Let's talk about, Alan, let's talk about your newest thing, the Bronx Wanderers at the Link.
Yes.
Which is a fabulous show. I just love each and every guy.
Yeah, it's one of the most exciting shows we've ever produced. People walk out every night, and it's 100%. It's not like 80, 90%. People walk out every night, and they give us lines like, "I've been coming to Vegas for 40 years. It's the best show I've ever seen." It's a very high energy show. It's a father, a 60-year-old father who is a big time record producer. Never wanted to be though, always wanted to be on stage. And his dream always was to come to the Las Vegas Strip. His 2 sons are with him. One plays keyboards and sings lead. The other one's a drummer. And then we surround him with all their young friends who play all these great instruments. And they're all brilliant musicians, play some of the greatest music of all time. And Vinny Adinolfi, who's the star of the show, he's the lead guy. This is his dream. And Kathi and I saw them about 7 years ago in Florida. Their manager begged us to come see the show, and I said, "We don't produce bands, we produce theatrical productions." She said, "I know you guys could make this a theatrical production. They're great, there's a storyline here, they're a dysfunctional Italian family." Anyway, Kathi and I go to see them, and we were blown away. The place was packed, 1,000-seat auditorium, not a seat to be had, and the audience was going crazy. So we looked at each other and said, "This is very special. There's something very
I'm
unique."
not making another mistake. Is that what you said?
Right, exactly, exactly right. I'm going to listen to Kathi. I'm not making a mistake. So we go into the dressing room afterwards, and Kathi says to Vinny, "What do you aspire to do the rest of your life? What's your plan?" He said, "All I've ever wanted to do is play the Las Vegas Strip as a headliner." So Kathi in the dressing room that night says to him, "We're going to make your dreams come true. I promise you we're going to get you to Vegas." And on the way home that night, I remember saying to her, "What are you, crazy? Why would you make her that promise?" And anyway, it took us a few years, and the minute we heard Jersey Boys was closing in Las Vegas, we put them in Bally's. We took over the room, we put them in Bally's, and the first quote we got from a critic was, if you like Jersey Boys, you're going to love the Bronx Wanderers.
Right.
And the rest is history. We were there 2 years. Caesars came to us. They said, we'd love to move you to the big room at the Link. We're in a 600-seat theater now, and it's phenomenal. We redid the production. Bigger production value.
The graphics are sensational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love it a lot.
So we've got big LED screens
Yeah.
now. We've got great new lighting and
Right.
sound, and it's been fabulous. We're really
You can't
excited.
miss this show. It's wonderful. I wanted to say that when I saw it, Vinay was doing a tribute to Queen long before the movie came
That's
out.
true.
Yes.
The trilogy and Freddie Mercury, and it was incredible what they did.
Well,
Yeah.
he's a
And
great
then
talent.
And then a great
Yeah.
talent. And then it came out, you know, big Oscar and this whole thing, but long before. So he was visual. What do you call it?
When they do
Visionary.
Bohemian Rhapsody
was.
Visionary, yeah.
in the show,
Right.
not only did they nail it, Vinny wouldn't put it on stage unless they nailed it 100%. So we put him in a studio for a month and a half until they got it down.
Really?
And now the audience goes crazy every night. They got a standing
course.
ovation last night after the song.
Every night, yes.
know,
It's
I
an
know.
audience favorite. And, you know, it's another feel-good evening. And I just love producing shows where people leave feeling better than when they walked in. And, you know, times are tough, and you watch the news, and,
Right. And
I
that's
love
gonna
forgetting
lead me-
about your
lead me
cares
to
and
ask
woes.
you, I know that you, excuse me for interrupting.
Of course.
I know that you didn't start out being a producer because you started out in the casual wear business in
Yes.
Florida.
Yes.
And I went once with my dad to your, was it the warehouse? or
Yes.
something? And I thought, this stuff is great. Next thing I know, Alan Glist is a producer of Menopause. I went, but he had shirts and jackets. And
Right.
what the hell?
Yeah, I was in
So-
the men's clothing business
yeah.
for 30 years.
So what's it like? How did you bridge the gap? Did Kathy bring you to that
Yes,
too?
yes. Kathy was always into theater. I never was. And I sold my business. We started G4 Productions about
Right.
25 years ago with our partner.
Right.
And Kathy was working it full time. She was president of the company. I was kind of working it part
Your
time.
company, she was
Of
president?
G4, yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I still had my apparel business. I sold my apparel business almost 15 years ago in 2005. And I was going to take 6 months off and just play golf every day and clean my garage and all the things I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I got in a car accident the next day, broke my hand, couldn't play golf. So I started going in the office. And I said, my God, this is a real business. It's not just like a hobby. And, you know, we got it going from there. And I love it. I'm living my dream the last 15 years.
So
It's
what's
great.
it like being a producer in Las Vegas?
Tough,
Because
very tough.
because it's not. That's why I asked you, because this is. I've been here since '72 when I started at Caesars with Harry Belafonte, and it was a lot different than it is now. It was run differently than the corporates are running it now. You might say they don't know what the heck they're doing.
I can't
but
say that.
I know. You can't because
You might
work for
say
them.
that.
Right.
I can say that because I've seen what they're doing. But tell me what it's like every day as a producer, because you are a businessman. You know what it's like to have a business.
Right.
We'll say, keep the thought. We'll be right back in a minute to find out how easy it is to be a producer in Las Vegas. Did you tell me about your immigration policy?
I did, but
Okay.
you interrupted me. But it's a great immigration plan.
Okay, that's
From
right.
here on out, we're only getting like really smart women,
Right.
really attractive
Right,
women,
right,
really
right.
hot women.
Really?
That's what I think this country automatically get in if you're from Sweden. That
That's
right
all
off
we're
the
going to
bat.
have is women?
Hot women. That's
Really?
a big difference.
Really?
Tall, hot women, blonde
Okay.
hair, blue eyes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Nice bodies.
Okay, okay.
That's what you want.
Tell me about your cabinet. I mean, are you
Great
going
cabinet,
to
great
run
cabinet.
again?
We
I
have-
hope not.
Oh,
Please,
I
God.
am going to run again,
no.
and I'm going to win. Have you seen my rallies? We have
Yes,
everybody.
I have.
Many,
when everything
many
goes
people,
wrong, that's when you have a rally.
Listen, many people
Am I
want me to
right?
be president for life. They
What?
want me to be president for life.
Did you hear what he said?
Yes, president for life.
President for life?
What about
I'm
Kim
getting
Jong-un?
pimples.
He's president for
I don't
life.
care, I'm getting
Xi,
pimples.
Putin, they're all president for life, and they can kill journalists. Why can't I kill anybody? I'm not allowed to kill anybody. I don't think that's
Don't
fair.
look at me when you say that.
Well, you a journalist or
No.
you're just a host? I like
Yeah.
TV people if they're
You
nice
do?
to me. If they're
Really?
nice to me.
I'm nice
Yes.
to you.
You know my favorite. You know my favorite station. And,
Yes.
and if you're nice to me, you can be
Okay.
my favorite station.
Thank you. This is the only president I really like President Trump.
There you go.
Wonderful.
You're catching on. You're catching on.
He's a wonderful guest. But that's it. Goodbye. And we're back with Alan and Kathi Glist telling us how easy it is to be a producer in Las Vegas.
Yeah, what happened, what's become so difficult, as you know, there's about 160 shows a night on the Las Vegas Strip. There's 137,000 seats for sale. And when we started producing here at the Las Vegas Hilton back in 2006, there were about 60 or 70 shows. It's become very complicated, very competitive, and now there's a lot of competition. Sports teams are coming to town, all the celebrity chefs are in town, so people make a night eating out, spending 3-4 hours at a celebrity chef's restaurant, eating and drinking and so on. So the competition is very stiff. We're very fortunate that we happen to have two hot shows that everybody loves, so we do well, but we work it hard. Marketing in this town, as you know, that's what it's all about. If you don't market your shows well and spend a lot of money marketing, you're not going to make it regardless of what the show is. So it's very complicated and very difficult. And I feel bad for producers that come into town that don't know the town and they think they're going to produce their show. They lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. They close after a month or two and they say, oh my gosh, what just happened?
But the problem is, as I see it, that the hotels do not back their shows. That you have to either four-wall or it's a whole new game here.
Yeah, the hotels used to do two-wall deals. They would buy shows, they would bring them in, they would totally support them. Today, the whole thing, even with restaurants, is everything is four-wall, The hotels don't want to take the risk, so they bring in producers like us with shows, and you basically pay rent, you do all your own marketing and, group sales and so on. So it's a lot more complicated.
So you're responsible for all of it.
Yes.
So what do?
We roll up our sleeves and we're very hands-on and we're at our shows almost every day. We run back and forth from Harrah's to the Link.
How do you do it, Ken?
Look how with our roller skates.
She's so young.
But so very young.
Young.
We feel very passionate about it. And I'll say that although, yes, it's a four-wall relationship, we feel very supported by Caesars Entertainment on both properties. So
we have an amazing relationship with Caesars, and we're very fortunate. We have two shows with them. Obviously, Bronx Wanders at the Link and Menopause, the musical at Harrah's, and we're opening a third show with Caesars.
Tell us about that.
Cleopatra's Barge in September at
My
Caesars
old
Palace.
room?
Your old room.
So
at
the
Caesars
new show
Palace.
is going to be in the Barge?
Yes.
We're
Who is
opening in mid-September.
Who's that gonna be?
It's a psychic medium. It's very different for Las Vegas. He's got his own TV show, just signed a deal with CBS starting in September called The Seatbelt Psychic. And our show is going to be called The Thomas John Experience. He's a very well-known, he's the Manhattan medium. He's a very well-known psychic medium.
How did you find him?
He found us.
Yeah.
But we're very impressed. What he does is out of this world.
Really?
And
are we going to have a hit show? Give me his number. I want to know.
Right.
Yes.
I'll call him.
Yes.
Okay.
He's quite amazing. Your mouth will be hanging open.
Really?
He really truly has a gift.
Is he going to take questions or what? How does he work? Because when you're working live with a live, and the barge is not a showroom exactly.
He
Was a boat.
literally receives messages from the other
so he's
side.
clairvoyant.
Yes.
And clairaudient as well.
And I got to be honest with you, I was skeptical a couple of years ago when we first met Thomas.
You're always skeptical.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for you to marry Kathi,
I drag him
wouldn't have
into all
anything. My
this.
goodness,
Right,
Alan.
exactly. Oh my goodness.
Brilliant businessman.
You're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we met Thomas a couple of years ago, being skeptical, both of us, we actually put together a presentation at the Menopause showroom at Harrah's, and we invited about 50 people, many people we didn't even know. We called people and said, invite 5 people, 10 people. We never gave the list to Thomas. He came in there and he basically went around the room and read a dozen people and communicated with their loved ones on the other side. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters.
So that's how he works.
And we were blown away. He called me about 2 months ago. My mom passed away 5 years ago. He called me a couple of months ago and he says, your mom visited me today. She wanted you to know her friend Esther Chasen died. And I said, how would he, it's not on social media anywhere. I said, how could this guy possibly know
her
that?
name.
It's amazing. It just, so anyway, we think the show's going to be great.
Alan, I want his number.
We're going to support him with a great production of some great videos, lighting, sound.
You're not going to have showgirls, I hope,
Music,
with this.
no
show.
No,
It's not
you know
gonna be
what?
that kind of show.
We call it beyond entertainment. I love the double entendre of it, entertainment from beyond. It's not a show, and it's not going to be glitzy, and there's no magic involved. It'll be different every night, depending on who's in the audience and who he connects with from the
Do
other
you think
side.
there's a market in Las Vegas for this?
You know, I think
We
there's
do.
a market for it anywhere. People having experienced loss yearn to know there's life after. And
After the slot machines is their life.
Exactly.
Right?
There's a couple of hot TV shows. There's Teresa Caputo and
Oh, yeah.
Henry.
Tyler
Tyler
Henry.
Henry's got his own TV show. They do what
He's
Thomas
terrific,
does.
that kid.
Teresa comes into town, sells 8 or 10,000 tickets like that. We think there's a big market for it. We've
Really?
kind of been doing some test marketing, and we think it's going to be fabulous.
You are also involved in Broadway. Didn't you do some shows on Broadway?
A bunch of Broadway
What
shows.
did you do?
Yeah. Oh, we've done
I remember.
Ring of Fire. We did Dolly Parton's 9 to 5, which we got a bunch of Tony nominations. We had an all-star cast there. We just did Glengarry Glen Ross with Al Pacino a couple of
Oh,
years
that's
ago.
a good show.
Matilda, some really,
Yeah.
good shows. But Broadway's tough. If you think Vegas is tough, Broadway can take
Yeah.
your heart out. You
Yeah.
can have a great show,
Yeah.
a $15 million production, and then one of the critics in New York decides to not like your show and give you a bad review, and you're done. You post closing notice and everything's down the tube. So if I never do Broadway again, I'd be fine.
Survivors, that's what we are.
Thrivers. Let's take a minute. What's on your bucket list?
Geez, I don't know. I feel like I've accomplished a lot, great things. I want to go to St. George, Utah. That's on my bucket list. I want to go to Greece. Want to take my family on a cruise around the world somewhere, but Kathy doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to cruise.
I'll go, Alan.
The big
single.
thing
I'm single, Alan.
Anytime, Barbara.
Okay.
know
Are you
that.
picking up my husband
Yes,
with
I
me
am.
sitting right here?
I'm fooling
Great.
around with him.
It's fine, absolutely perfectly fine. My real dream one day, honestly,
Yeah.
is when we can take like a month or two off.
Yeah.
I want to either buy or rent a big motor home, like one of those big buses.
Yeah.
And I just want to travel the country, just go and
Really?
wherever we want to
Get
go.
away
just
from
go.
Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, just for a month.
Well, everybody, you have a bucket list, Kath?
It's funny, not necessarily. What excites me really is watching him realize his dream. I think that he's always dreamt of having a business in Las Vegas, and the heartbeat of this town really meets his energy and matches his energy. So I love seeing him so happy. Being here full time has been a big transition for me.
Happy life, happy wife. In your case, happy husband, happy life.
Yeah, and
Really?
Very
really,
sweet, babe. I never heard that.
Stick to my show. You'll find out all kinds of things. Yeah.
we could do a whole show on relationships. We're going to celebrate our 46th
Makes me
anniversary
feel
this
so
year.
old when she says that.
But you're so into your family too.
That's
and all
on
the
my bucket
grandkids, and
list,
That's
really.
what I mean.
Is more
Right,
time
right.
with our family and friends, and maybe working a little bit less hard.
Yeah, well, you're
That's
going,
my goal.
You're going from place to place.
Yeah.
Casino to casino. I mean, sometimes you probably don't even know which show am I at.
Yeah,
We
it
still
gets
feel
crazy.
the passion. We still get excited if we see or receive a great script or a great project comes our way. I think we have a few more in us, and we enjoy our day to day.
Didn't you write Menopause? Isn't there a second Menopause?
We're working
We're
on
working on a
sequel.
sequel.
Dennis Blair wrote.
Dennis Blair and Clint Holmes, actually.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in Florida when you had the reading. I heard all about it. I heard it was great.
It's great.
Great.
How
It's
can you go
great.
wrong with
Funny.
those two creative
two
juices?
non-menopausal men
Right.
wrote the sequel, and
right.
it's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
Menopause for men. That would be great.
Men.
Is that
Oh,
well, men
pause.
have menopause too.
Of course
do they ever?
they have a midlife
Right, right.
crisis, a
Not
little
me.
different.
I bypassed it.
You didn't have
I
it?
had no
You
interest.
did get that Corvette around
Because
50.
they do that. They buy these strange sports cars and go crazy when they have the
I did.
menopause.
I turned 50 years
Right.
old and I went to a dealership and I said, I want the nicest Corvette you've got. From the time I was 16 years old, I always wanted a Corvette. He showed me this beautiful Corvette on the showroom floor. I drive it out. I get home. Kathy says, how is it? I said, terrible. It's got a real rough ride. I'm sitting on the ground, it feels like.
I
got
can't
stuck
get in
a
and out
lease
of the
for 3
car.
years. Hated the car. Hated it.
So you didn't get anything.
But that was
else
my
for the
midlife
menopause.
crisis.
Oh. Kath, I wanted to ask you, at the end of the show, we always like to support charities.
Yes.
And you ask for donations for breast cancer. So I think it's a very worthwhile, wonderful thing that you sell the fans.
We
to
sell
everybody,
hot
right?
flash fans at the
Did
show
you come up
every
with that
night.
idea?
Actually, the author had already been doing that. She was very charitable, and we love the concept so much that every few years we choose a charity that supports women. We donated about $600,000 to ovarian cancer, and
Mom
we're
passed from that. Did you know that? Yeah.
so we are now up to over $1 million just from these $1 donations of hot flash fans. And we feel absolutely great about making a difference. And then we will jump in after 1 October. We shifted our fan sales for that cause. And if there's an earthquake or a hurricane, we go where the need is, and we love being a part of very important causes.
See, they're just not showbiz people. They are real people that support what their heart tells them to do. And I wanted to thank you all for watching, and thank Alan and Kathy, my very dear friends, for coming to be part of Brighten Your Night, and to ask you to please go out. If you liked anything you saw today, pay it forward, be loving, kind, and appreciative, and stay tuned. We'll see you later. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm breaking donuts with President Trump.
Right.
Do you like donuts?
I love donuts.
Really?
I
Let's
love
have a
donuts.
donut.
This is kind of like, this will be very nice.
Take a donut, because there's a tariff on this. It's $1,000 for a donut.
This will be you and me
Here's to
breaking
you.
bread together, because you're Jewish, and
I
I
know.
love the Jewish
I know.
people. Tremendous people.
Here.
I really, okay.
Here. Then maybe his mouth will shut. That will.
Oh, that's actually really good. That's great. I like this. It's
Good.
Are these people sponsored?
I love President Trump. I can't even say his name.
Can I get a
President Trump.
dozen of these to go? Can somebody get me
Where
this?
did you get that name, Trump? Everything around here is Trump Tower, Trump this, Trump that.
German name, tremendous name. And my mother was Scottish.
But we'll never forget that name, President Trump.
No one else has the name.
That's right.
It's like Disney.
Nobody wants that name.
It was a really good donut. And I know donuts. No one knows donuts like me. That was a tremendous
Thank
donut.
you so much, President Trump. I loved having you. No, I didn't. See you later. Bye for now.